All right, welcome back, guys. This is Derek of the Dallas Prospect, and the Oklahoma City Thunder have their first game in the books now. It was a home opener against the visiting New York Knicks. What's up, guys? This is Darreck Kirby, aka DDP of the DallasProspect.com, your home for all things Dallas sports and pop culture. Welcome back to the Dallas Prospect YouTube channel. Today we're going to be changing things up a little bit. Take a look at our pop culture content.
I've seen you guys 4 or 5 times now, and I mean, not saying this just because you're literally right here. I've always thought you guys were just as good, if not even better, than the headliner for the shows.
Thank you, thank you.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
Derek was totally nerding out about this interview, by the way.
Thank you.
He was really excited about this interview.
Thank you, Derek.
All right, now that my credibility is shot.
If you're a fan of Dallas sports and pop culture, this is your place to be. Already decided you don't like me? No sweat. I'm one of like 15 contributors here.
He's pretty good at making adjustments season to season, but in a game, sometimes even week to week.
9 ridiculous Marvel and DC comic storylines we'd love to forget about. Personally, I'd like to forget that Wolverine and Squirrel Girl, I have no need for Garrett. I don't want Garrett. I am sick of Jason Garrett. That said, I still think the problem was over here a little bit as well. I'm not saying it was the right way. I'm saying it was a way, and it was the way that they chose.
All right, here it is. Hush.
Children. Oh,
God, they did it.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so good.
Welcome back to Cheap Pop, where I try to analyze and break down the biggest questions across film and television. Today's topic, Annihilation, starring Natalie Portman.
Let me tell you something, brother. This is the 4th straight year of Cavs versus Warriors, brother. And oh, brother, are we sick and tired of seeing it.
I mean, really, there's no telling how different this team would have looked in recent years had Cuban simply drafted. And it was Cuban's decision, don't get it twisted. Donnie Nelson loved Giannis. It was Mark Cuban's decision to pass on the Greek Freak. This is a more puzzling one because at least Eric Dampier saw 6 out of those 7 years on that contract with Dallas. And it was the trade chip Dallas actually got from moving on from Dampier that allowed them to go get Tyson Chandler. Facts. Dennis Smith Jr. highlight dunk. Alright, let's see what the hype's about.
Oh! Even if he had Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, bro. Thanos wears it on the left hand. Infinity Gauntlet, brother. It wouldn't change the outcome. And in case you're a Warriors fan, well, let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. Snakes can't wear gauntlets, brother.
WWE Creative has no real direction for Finn Balor, and it's driving me crazy.
What are they doing?
I don't know, but I wish somebody, anybody could come in here and fix the booking of Finn Balor. Who are you? Who are you?
What's going on?
What's up? I'm DDP from the Dallas Prospect. I heard you needed a fantasy booker.
What are your thoughts for how the offense can kind of right the ship against the Lions this week, since it's been struggling the past few weeks?
Well, you know, first of all, the players got to be accountable to themselves and get out there and play some hard-nosed football and quit worrying about what play is called, what play is not called.
This next matchup will be the first time, brother, but not really. The last time, brother, but please God, yes. The only time, brother, that we get 2 NBA teams matching up in the finals. 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row, brother. Because, frankly, brother, it's getting a little bit nauseating at this point.
You want the tagline? Oh, sorry. Yeah. Every legend begins.
Oh my God, you're fired. You're just fired from the
I'm freaking tired, okay? I'm freaking tired. I slept on the ground, man. I slept on the freaking ground. I don't care what you say. I slept for like 30 minutes. I had no sleep. What? No. You don't tell me what I experienced. I slept on the freaking ground. Okay?
Every legend was once a prospect.
Yeah. And they're getting pressure on the QB too, and usually that translates to interceptions or tipped passes or just passes thrown under duress. But I really can't see, I don't know if it's like a, phenomenon or what, but
What is up, guys? This is DDP from the Dallas Prospect, here for a little bit of an impromptu show here. Wanted to talk a little bit about the Dallas Mavericks season opener. I know it's been a couple days since then, but if you've read the subject of my newest article, it's also the subject of this stream, by the way, I've been really kind of frustrated with the amount of backlash that we're seeing from a lot of people in the fan base. Now, on Facebook in particular, I'm involved in many different Maverick groups, or at least I should say a part of those communities and everything. And I've been really frustrated by the just ridiculous number of people heavily criticizing the team after one game. Was it a bad performance? Yeah, especially defensively. It was, as Rick Carlisle put it today, shit. So there's absolutely a lot of things they need to work on. They missed a lot of free throws. The defense wasn't solid and all of that. And even still, without their leading scorer from the last two seasons, and without Dirk, who I know Dirk's, 40 plus at this point, but it's still a guy who, even off the bench like he'll play this season, he'll probably still get you 10 to 12 points a night. So to not have your leading scorer and that, you're talking, what, like 39, 41 points potentially, just on terms of averages left out from that. So everyone else has to pick it up a little bit, and it's going to work sometimes and other times it's not. But I was kind of blown away by the number of people who were immediately calling Dennis Smith Jr., yeah, he had a bad game. Like, there's no doubt. He was very ineffective in the game. I did think that one thing that stood out to me, I thought his on-ball defense at times was pretty good. That looked to improve. But other areas was just kind of like, it's just not, it wasn't clicking. He wasn't hitting a lot of his outside shots. You saw him forcing stuff late. Part of that's just going to come off of working with Luka more and getting more familiar with him. But there's going to be a give and take there involved. What really bothers me are the next two popular criticisms you see floating out there. One, people already trying to label Luka Doncic a bust. Stop it. Just stop, guys. It's his first NBA game. He's had one regular season game and 4, I'm adding in this case, preseason games to get to this point. You can't determine he's anything. I don't care if he averaged 50 points a game, 14 assists, and 13 rebounds. You still look at it and say, it looks promising, but it's only 5 games, 4 of which meant nothing. So for the people who are already calling him anything, a bust, whatever, come on, man. You have nothing to assess based on. You're just going off the assumption of, oh, he's a European player and he's got hype, therefore he has to be a bust. Give the kid time to grow. He's 19 years old. 2 of your 3 players, presumably your 3 best players, are 19 and 20 years old. You have to understand, just because you got a highly touted draft pick doesn't mean that everything's just fixed. There's a growing period. Even Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant, their first year in Oklahoma City, had to go through like a 23-24 win season before they turned the ship around. At least give these guys more than a freaking game to determine whether or not it's going to work. So let me do a quick roll call here. By the way, we're streaming as well in the Facebook group here, Mavs Nation. What's up, guys? Let's see, Tifo, what's up? As well, let me hit the roll call for YouTube here, just as I'm getting going. Don't want to get on too much of a tirade before we bring everyone in. Gle, Young Onyx, first 2 in the house, what's up? We got Cowboys X Factor, what's good? Rangers King, what up, Max? Mark, what's up? Mark's not a fan of Dennis Smith Jr. Well, the guy showed flashes last year, and he had one bad game this year. And I'm willing to guess that what we saw out of Dennis Smith in the opener might be his worst game we see all year. So you want to look for a silver lining? Assume that we got that out of the way. If he has those struggles continue for a month or something like that, then maybe you start to turn around and say, okay, this is extending beyond. By the way, I'm just now noticing that the green on my shirt, because of the screen, is now partly matching my background. It almost looks like chrome reflective. What's up, Jose and Jenny? Yes, this is let me see, I want to get the name right here. Skylar in Dallas from YouTube, one of his shirt designs. Yep, Skylar in Dallas. So he sent me out one of these the other day. It's normally a perfect green screen green, as you can tell by the screen behind me. But pretty snazzy, snazzy. Dallas skyline, and then you got the half a basketball underneath it. So, yes, welcome everyone for the game. So my latest Mavs article went up this morning on DallasSportsFanatic.com, and it was quickly picked up by Bleacher Report. And man, it's always cool anytime that can happen. And I wanted to go further into it because, like I said at the start of this show, the amount of backlash I've seen for one game for a team that I've been trying to say I don't think is a playoff team. Their Vegas over-under is 34.5 wins, and I've got them idealistically somewhere in the 38, 39 range. I know with my bet with any, I said 40 or 41, but that's just trying to get us on drastic differences for over-under, so we have to have a winner and loser and bet payoff. But that's what I'm looking at there. The other argument that I got away from almost earlier that also frustrates me endlessly is you have people calling for Carlisle to be fired. Same argument as before in the sense that it's one game, and one of the guys who kind of was talking in one of the groups points out that, hey, when was the last time Carlisle took this team to the playoffs? Well, the answer is 2016. In 2016, the Mavericks were in the first round of the playoffs and lost to the Thunder. That was the year Golden State came back from down 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals against the Thunder and then choked away their own 3-1 lead in the finals to LeBron. So it's only been a couple of years since we were last in the playoffs. And yeah, we were stubbornly trying to say we weren't in a rebuilding mode for the first half of the next year, but it was pretty obvious it wasn't going to happen. So they've had to reluctantly admit to the fact that they are, in fact, rebuilding. And, you know, here we are. This is where the team is. 2 years in which we were tanking, and you're saying, hey, when was the last time we went to the playoffs? Well, the last time we had a roster even capable of making the playoffs, we went. Did we get past a much better team in the first round? No. I think his other point was claiming that Carlisle has been behind the ball, so to speak, behind the 8 ball as far as top-end coaching since 2013. Again, I would say post-title, we've had a couple teams that had some promise. 2014 that took the Spurs to 7 games. That showed promise. It was more of a matchup advantage for us in the sense that the Spurs were a much more well-rounded team than we were. And then the next year, we had Chandler Parsons, we had Tyson Chandler. We had the only weaknesses of that team in 2015 where they didn't have a very good point guard. They had Jameer Nelson as their starting point guard, and defensively they weren't all that great. So I had questions about how deep that team could go, but there's no doubt it was a historically good Mavericks offense. And what derailed it, because they tried to address the other weaknesses, was the Rajon Rondo deal. It blew up the chemistry of that team. It blew up the flow of everything. You suddenly had 2 guys who were ball dominant in Monte and Rondo, who both needed the ball, neither of which were very good at shooting outside. And when you got a backcourt of 2 small guys and neither one can shoot from outside, you're going to be in trouble. Other than those 2 teams, the Mavericks haven't fielded a whole lot of quality teams. I mean, so to hold them by this metric of saying, hey, the last 2 seasons, they're not very good, therefore we need to fire Carlisle. What coach do you think would have the pieces the last 2 seasons and do more with it? Like, Carlisle is, I would say, a top 5 coach in the league right now. And that's something that's somehow overlooked more and more often, it seems like. I don't think people understand or appreciate we have a very good coach, and we're fortunate to have kept him this long after a title. So, let's see here. Big homie from the D, what up? Let's see here. Mad about the decision-making regarding Dennis Smith. I agree, Max. There were definitely some issues there. Ruben, what's good? Let's see. Mark pressure on Doncic. Yeah, here's the thing. So one of the things I pointed out regarding the matchup, I said, and I've said through the offseason, I really do feel that Phoenix will be a much improved team this year. In fact, in terms of a win-loss perspective, I think they might be possibly the best team in terms of a turnaround from year to year. Does that mean they're a playoff team necessarily? No, especially with how stacked the West is. But I really love their draft. They're the one team I said I think had a better draft than the Mavericks. And they have length, they have athleticism, they have a stone cold killer in Devin Booker, who that's the other thing people get twisted. They look at the score and they say, oh, they lost by 21 to the trash Suns. Well, if you don't look at context or anything, then yeah, it's going to look bad. And yes, our defense was bad. We also missed free throws and we had, careless turnovers. Doncic was excellent in the first quarter until he got in foul trouble, and in the second half never found a rhythm. Those are things to take note of. But it's also a thing where you have to consider the context. Dallas was right there within 5 points with about 7 minutes and change remaining, and it was only once Devin Booker just went completely unconscious and started knocking down threes in the defender's face 1, 2, 3, 4 times that suddenly the lead ballooned from like 4 or 5 points to 21. So that's the difference in the game. And it is what it is, man. Phoenix shot a blistering 19 of 34 from 3. Now, part of that's bad perimeter defense by the Mavericks, but at the same time, you also have to acknowledge the fact that Phoenix was just hitting everything. Especially, like I said, Booker late. It didn't matter what he did. The only one he didn't make from 3 was one where Dennis Smith Jr. just slapped him on the elbow, frustrated because he was suddenly pulling up from like 4 feet behind the line out of nowhere. So it's things to consider. Phoenix shot better than 50%. Carlisle said today the defensive effort was shit. The guys weren't committed to it. They weren't playing hard. I get it. I'm totally on board with it. And we got to see what this team's going to do. But again, it's game 1 of 82. 82. Even if this was the NFL and we were talking about 16 games, okay, it's a 16th of your season. Like, at least allow a few games before you start, like, throwing up the red alert and everything, before you go DEFCON 1 or, what is it, DEFCON 4 is the highest one, actually? I don't know. I'm all over the place with that analogy, but you get the idea. And, again, Dennis, he goes 10 points on something like 5 of 16 shooting, 0 of 5 from 3, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, but also 4 turnovers. And people want to say he's a bust. Did you guys really forget that Dirk went 0 for 5 in his NBA debut? He had 2 points, both from the free throw line. Like, come on, man. Be reasonable. Not everything is instant gratification. You don't get a phenom who walks in and from day one just sets fire to the league and is suddenly a force of nature that can't be stopped. I'm not saying Doncic even over time will become that kind of player, but he's a much better player, and the kind of impact he had in the first quarter, I believe he can have throughout a game as well. You just got to allow him some time to get his rhythm about him, to get in NBA shape, the whole conditioning program and everything from that regard. It'll make a difference, so be patient. Let me take a message here on Facebook. Jose and Jenny. Willing to give Dennis Smith Jr. a few more games this year, but I'm definitely not sold on him. He's very frustrating to watch, so athletic, but he misses so many shots around the rim. What do you think? He definitely missed a lot of shots around the rim at Phoenix, and I know last year he was the most blocked guard at the rim. I think part of what kind of bit him a little bit in this particular game, you have rim protectors, like Ayton is a good rim protector. You have Tyson Chandler, who is still down there as well. So they have guys that can cause difficulty. Phoenix also has a lot of long-rangey, athletic wings. Josh Jackson, Trevor Ariza, the kind of guys who, if you're attacking the rim, as the defense collapses, you might get certain guys in the picture that most nights you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about. That said, I'm not trying to make a complete excuse for him. I'm just saying I think he's better than we saw. And he's raw. And, that's part of why he got the Russell Westbrook comparisons at times last year. And I know Max, for instance, on the YouTube chat here, wants to not compare him to Russell, wants to compare him to something better than Russell Westbrook with regard to controlling the offense without being the show himself and with regard to being a little more under control and efficient. But, I mean, what I saw in Phoenix in that first game, that was shades of young Russell Westbrook, where he wasn't quite able to just completely destroy you on any play. and at the same time was still aggressive and still attacking the rim. And so you would see a lot of those plays where he got right to the rim but couldn't quite finish it. I did see over the summer he did work as well on developing a floater. He had 1 or 2 of those go halfway down the cup and rattle out. So I think he's aware of what improvements he needs to make to his game, and I think he'll do it. I think it was more of an anomaly. That's the thing. Dennis Smith Jr. played in 69 games last year. 69. He played 1 game so far this year. 70 total games. The guy hasn't even played a full NBA season. Luka Doncic has played 1 game. Together, they've played 1 game. There's nothing to assess. You can be boys off the court. You can, like, they live in the same apartment complex, or maybe it's a community complex, whatever. Same community. They live there. They hang out off the court. They're boys. Cool. Great. I love all of that. But at the same time, there's no replacement or supplement for being on the court and playing together and playing full speed all out, because that's not what we've seen in preseason. Preseason, you get a kind of half speed or half intensity. This last game in Phoenix was the first time that it was, all right, lights, camera, action, let's go. And I think it showed. You saw some of the flashes. Luka's assist behind the back off the pick and roll to DeAndre Jordan was beautiful. He set up DeAndre beautifully a couple times, and so did Dennis early on. But the Mavericks just got out of sorts, and they're going to have to make improvements defensively. They're going to have to improve on their free throw shooting, and I think they'll be fine. Again, I don't have them as a playoff team, but I think that they're going to be a much better team than we saw. People already ready to throw in the towel in the season just is infuriating to me. People need to relax. It's a marathon, says Jalen. Yeah, I agree. I agree, man. Let's see. Pop back to YouTube's chat here. Thank you guys, by the way, for tuning in. People in the Mavs Facebook group, Mavs Nation, let me know if you like this. If you guys like this, I'll cross-post my weekly Mavs podcast here as well. It's a format like this, except I usually have, or at least oftentimes, we'll have another co-host with me, another guy in our community here, Ian Duca, who is the Dallas Prospect. My site. Wait, there you go. I gotta think respective to where the logo is above my head. My writer, or my Mavs guy for the website. Mad about decision making. Dennis looks confused, like he did not know if he wanted to pass first or be aggressive. Yeah, and part of that's learning to give and take. You know, when LeBron went to Miami, it took some time for them to figure out between him and Dwayne Wade, okay, who's the alpha here? And you figure it out. You figure it out just by playing, and eventually someone will assert themselves into the role, and you'll kind of get a feel for how that goes. But even though Luka is very deferential as a player, I think at the same time, Dennis was trying to, at times it looked like he was reluctant to shoot, and at other times it looked like he's in the mindset of, you know, I need to be more aggressive, I need to assert myself, and then you get just crazy forced shot attempts and things like that did not work out well. Let me actually scroll down here, let you see the article here. If you want to read the article, it's up on DallasSportsFanatic.com, and it's also up on Bleacher Report if you go into the Mavs season section as well. So let's see here. No Dennis Smith slander will be tolerated. Yeah, I agree. Big homie D. Big homie from the D. Yes, DDP. Oh, sometimes it scrolls away and I lost it. Where'd you go? Let me see if I can find it. You used the nickname, so it should stand out as I scroll back for it. Aha. Yes, DDP. The backlash for these Mavs is crazy, and some want to trade Dennis Smith. Shake my head. Mavs Facebook groups are the worst and aren't representative of the Mavs fan base overall. Oh, yeah, there's definitely some in there. I think there are a lot of really good level-headed people as well, but there are some who I have definitely taken notice are a bit overreactionary. So, yeah, I get what you mean. We need more shooters on the floor. The 3-ball killed us. Yeah, you know, shooters, that's something that you'll see more of. Brokov came in, got 2 quick shot attempts, missed one, made one. I think, by the way, for a player from the Australian League playing in his first NBA game, he's like the fastest to actually score in a game or something like that. Some obscure stat that was kind of like, oh, that's cool, I guess. But yeah, shooting, they missed that. That's one of those moments where, and I'm not going to scream from the heavens about it anymore, but that's one of those moments where it's like, yeah, that's where you want like a Seth Curry. But Curry made his choice and he went to Portland, so it is what it is. But I agree, they need more shooters, and that was one of my concerns for them from that perspective. Good thing I'm not on Facebook then. Luka Doncic is not a bust. He did not play much in Summer League. He played 0 in Summer League, and he did play the full preseason, but that's only 4 games. Made some solid passes. Suns, 23 threes. I think it was 19 threes. I think it was 19 of 34 from 3. But yes, they were plus 27 compared to Dallas from the three-point line. So that's your difference there between missing free throws and then them outscoring you by 27 points from beyond the arc. That's your differential right there. How is it that people like Dennis Smith Jr. and Luka Doncic combo but then hate them after one game? Oh, how they like the combo. Yeah, here's the thing. You know, people had questions about whether Chris Paul and James Harden would be able to coexist in Houston because, hey, James Harden was the MVP runner-up the year before, playing mostly point guard the year Russell Westbrook won it. So they just make the assumption that, hey, both guys are ball dominant. How are you going to do that? Well, if you got guys with high basketball IQs and who are dynamic and veterans, you can do it. Thing with Dallas, they might have some form of that, not with regard to three-point shooting as those guys, but some form of that with Dennis and Luka. But the problem there, they're pups. They're kids. You're going to have to let them grow and breathe. Houston was able to acquire Chris Paul, still back end of his prime, you could argue, or maybe not full prime, but definitely still hovering around very efficient, just a shade below. And they acquired Harden right as he was ready to break out into his prime from OKC. So they didn't have any of those growing pains, really. Dallas is going to have to deal with that, but the fact is, you're going to have 2 guys on rookie deals that are going to be your 2 best players. So that allows you to do a lot of stuff with regard to building out the rest of the team. You just got to get to next offseason to have access to all of that money and do a little something. I noticed Dennis Smith Jr. ain't playing with Luka, or he's just frustrated. Am I wrong with my observation, says Leonardo. Well, Luka got in early foul trouble in the first quarter, and that really threw a wrench into things. In preseason, they played together, a fair bit. I think it was just thrown off by the fact that Luka got in foul trouble, and he didn't have much of a struggle with it in the second half. I think it's just circumstantial. Again, it's one game, but there's no way that they're not going to have them on the floor together because that's your 2 best players, and they're both great playmakers for their teammates. So there's no way you're not going to have significant time with both of them on the floor. That just would be silly. Mavs should have gotten Nick Strakus. The only guys calling for Carlisle to be fired are on Facebook, pretty much. Like I said, Facebook is the worst. Don't take that harsh, people over here in the Facebook chat. I believe in you guys. You guys are cool. I have seen some people overreact, though. I think it's just reactionary is the main thing. And you just can't be with basketball. The season is far too long to live and die by every game. Especially when you have a team I say this young. When I refer to Dallas is actually like the 2nd or 3rd oldest team in the league. When I refer to a team this young, I'm talking about like your superstar potential guys. Harrison Barnes is like, I think 26, going to be 27 this year. He's obviously old enough, but he didn't even play. The guys I'm talking about are Dennis and Luka, 19 and 20. Dennis looked indecisive. I agree. DEFCON 1. There you go. People forget Dirk was not good right away. Yeah, that's the thing. It took time for Dirk to come out of the shell a little bit. And you just got to wait sometimes with some of these guys as they transition. And I think Luka's way ahead of the curve compared to where Dirk was. So you just gotta have just a shred of patience there to let the kid get his feet wet and get, have more than a cup of coffee in his NBA career before you label him anything. I agree. I think Luka already looks more comfortable running the offense than Dennis Smith. Micah, with Barnes and Dirk healthy, I would wager we would score 110 a game as long as we push the pace. Well, with Dirk, you're going to be hard-pressed to push the pace because it takes him. You measure his sideline, or not sideline, his end of court to end of court, full court, whatever, in a minute's hand. So, but regardless, Dirk lethal in that trailer three for sure. And yes, I mentioned that earlier, just between Harrison Barnes averaging about 19 points a game in the last 2 years. Dirk, even off the bench, will probably give you 10 to 12 a night. So to take the two of them out of the equation, you're effectively having to account for, 39, like not 39, but like 33 whatever points a game between them. So you're gonna have to figure it out. And then you got your offense led by two young bucks, one of which has played one game, playing his first game, and the other of which still, even after that game, has 70 games, so still not even a full season under his belt. LOL, he is 40. Let's see, Dirk's too old. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's old, but at the same time, he averaged 12 points a game last year, which is significantly better than other guys, of that same age and all that around the league. For instance, I had a great stat on something where it was comparing. Now this is relevant from last year based on more Dwayne Wade as opposed to Dirk, but it was basically comparing Dirk at 36 compared to Dwayne Wade. Here it is. Last year, Dirk, age 39, 12 points a game, 5.7 rebounds, 1.6 assists, 45 from the field, 45%. 40% from three, 89 at the line. Cool. 77 games played in 24 minutes a night. Dwayne Wade, 3 years younger, 11.4 points, less. 3.8 rebounds, less. Assist is up by less than 2. So he's like 3.4 to Dirk's 1.6. Field goal percentage, 43 for Wade, so Dirk slightly better. 3-point, Dirk miles better, 40 compared to 28. Dirk 17 points better from the free throw line, more minutes per game, and 10 more games played. So you can say Dirk's old, but compared to some of these other guys, he's held up much longer and better than a lot of them. There's a similar stat where it compares Dirk versus KG at certain points in their career, and it's mind-blowing how Dirk has just continued to age like a fine wine for the most part. But this will most likely be it for Dirk. Yes, we're trying to keep things positive in the chat, guys, for sure. We seriously need to get rid of Wes Matthews. I'm sure he has plenty of talent in the G League, better than Wes. Yeah, I mean, Wes is definitely not the lockdown defender anymore that they want to think that he is. He's just not. Is he a guy that I'm sure brings good leadership qualities to the locker room? Sure. I'm sure he's liked within the locker room and everything. And he's a guy who can hit some threes. We don't have a lot of that on the team, but he does make a lot of plays too where it's really frustrating, whether it's him trying to create off the dribble himself or weird plays like his inbound pass he threw off the camera above the shot clock. I don't even know how you do that. I mean, that's throwing it into like the 16th row effectively if the camera's not there. So baffling stuff like that from Wes. I think they just need him to understand his role, and I don't think he gets it. Now, with the course of last night in the second half, nothing was really going well for the Mavs in the second half. I mean, I know they made a little bit of a run, but you didn't have anyone really asserting themselves, so maybe he looked at that and just said, okay, I'm going to try and do it then without Harrison here, and it didn't work out all that great. He had a couple threes, but it's definitely something that he needs to kind of step back and realize what his new role is going to be on this offense. This isn't like 2 years ago where it's like, okay, it's pretty much you and Harrison, and Dirk will offer a little bit here and there, but figure it out. I don't know. So yeah, I agree. The West frustration I understand more so. Let's see. What's up? Can't catch him. Yeah, guys, if you can, in Facebook, YouTube, either one, hit the like button. Hit the like button if you're on YouTube. Subscribe. Ring the bell. I've had a couple people tell me that they're not seeing when I'm going live. Like, I guess they used to be on Notification Squad, and YouTube dropped that off or something, where they're not seeing when I go live anymore. YouTube crashed as a whole worldwide a few days ago for a few hours. So I don't know, maybe that affected some things. So check the bell, make sure it's still ringing if you want to, catch any time I go live. Definitely smash that like button, share the video. Let's grow this thing, as Law would say. Let's grow the nation. Let's see, trade Mej for Vince Carter. Oh man, yeah, Salah for Vince Carter. Hey, I'd take Vince Carter even now, honestly, if that's the case. Gives you some leadership and a guy that can still just stand out there and hit threes. Jalen is a bench player. I can't see him being more than that with his minutes, so his minutes are okay to me. Jalen Brunson, man, he had one dagger three that was just slick. So nice. But he looked reluctant to shoot to me. He played good defense when he was out there. That is something he'll be able to bring. Yeah, he'll be mostly a backup for Dallas, a guy off the bench. He'll play in some lineups where Dallas wants to change things up and go 2-guard lineups, things like that. But yeah, Brunson's got something, but I think he's a guy that's also going to need a little bit of seasoning. What do you think our starting lineup will look like once Barnes returns? I think you're probably looking at Dennis, Wes, Barnes, Luka, and then DeAndre. And my hand's not really, it's blocked by the comments. There you go. Probably looking at that. I would honestly, at this point, be on team Dorian Finney-Smith over Wes. I think Finney-Smith, I think if you want to have some kind of criticism of Carlisle, and maybe this is more hindsight, but I think that he should have given more of an opportunity guarding Devin Booker to Dorian than he did Wes, because I don't think Wes is that kind of defender anymore. There used to be a time when Wes was Velcro. He's not Velcro anymore. Or worse, he's old Velcro that doesn't really stick. It's like, used to be like real secure, and now it just kind of like, I don't know why I'm playing charades up here, but yeah, that's one thing you can say. I would be on board for Finney-Smith replacing in the lineup Wes. Mr. Francisco 214, what's up? Barnes will probably be back by the Hawks game on Wednesday. Correct. So Barnes, there was hope he would be back tomorrow. Now it sounds very doubtful, according to Carlisle. Yes, and I see Max echoing that as well in the comments. So yes, it'll be a little time for that. Better be careful with hamstrings than rush them back too soon. Absolutely. Injuries like that, calves and hamstrings, will linger and mess you up as the season goes on if you're not careful. So you got to be very much conservative in that approach. We're going to play the Timberwolves without our number one scoring option. I mean, from the last 2 years, yeah, you're going to have to play the T-Wolves without Harrison Barnes. And, good growing experience for him. We'll see. Dallas has a tough first 20 games. I've been saying that for a little while. If they can get out ahead of it and keep their head above water, they'll be good. But if they have a real rough stretch and they're looking something like 6-14 or something like that, then they're going to be fighting for a good part of the season, just trying to get their head back above water. Let's see. Wes horrific in the first half. Good Lord. I win easy. What's up? I laugh because during the off season, a lot of people were trying to trade Barnes. Yeah, I'm not on the trading Barnes thing. I've been saying they view him like Michael Finley to Nash and Dirk. View Barnes as like Finley, the way they view Luka and Dennis like Nash and Dirk. And they've made it clear with their marketing. That's exactly, like literally I shared a video on the Facebook page. They absolutely echoed one of their promotional video things, flat out telling you history repeating itself 20 years later. And it goes through the exact spiel on each guy from past and present. And it's like, yeah, that's how they view it. I've been saying that. So we'll see what they do. But yeah, I don't think Barnes is going anywhere. He'll opt into his player option next year. And I would not be surprised if Dallas looks to keep him even beyond that. Didn't see until now, even though you've been on 30 minutes. Yeah, you just got to ring that bell. I don't know. Maybe it sends out the notification a little late. Bench Wes. Mavs should trade Wes right now. Oh, right after he has a good game or two, says Roscoe. I mean, West could be traded. He's an expiring contract, so he could be traded any time between now and the deadline. My guess is that he does get traded or waived or something before the deadline. And I think that's because right now you want him for the leadership and you want to try and drive his price up. As you get closer to the deadline, you'll have teams that are playoff teams, whether they're trying to replace an injured player or think that they need a little help on the defensive end. They'll do that. Anytime you got a 3-and-D guy, even if he's not a great 3-and-D guy anymore, they're going to be willing to take that chance. So I would not be the least bit surprised if Wes is gone between now and the deadline. Those West takes are accurate. Those takes saying Dennis Smith is terrible, trade him for Fox, blah, 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 I just hate. This is a convo of a young player versus a player who for several years has failed. Luka is the second coming of Nash. Yeah, we'll see. That's high praise. 6'8" Nash is very dangerous. Let's see, I saw Facebook had something. Leonardo, do you think it's a bad idea to get Powell to start? So you'll have a lineup then of saying Dennis, Luka, Barnes, Powell, and DeAndre. It's not a bad idea. There are going to be times during the season, I think, for matchup purposes, you go that route. But, Powell was the high scorer for the game in Phoenix. And I think he's a good guy to have off the bench because you can't forsake the bench scoring just to bolster your starting lineup. And I think he got a lot of minutes in that second half because he was the only Maverick really having an impact in the second half. But I am curious to see what they do with that. He played well. He did. I haven't always been the biggest supporter of Powell, but I said last year, hey, respect. He had a good year. I give him credit. But we just got to see where he goes moving forward from that and base it from there. I don't want to trade any of our building pieces. The building pieces are basically Luka, Dennis, not DeAndre. I mean, they might give him a new deal after this year, but it's not a building piece unless that new deal happens. My guess is they have every intention of giving him the new deal, but we'll see. So really Barnes is your only other one. Brunson, and then of course you'll have like Costas and Ray Spalding, but Dallas is going to have a lot of guys falling off of this roster in the offseason, and they'll have a lot of money to play with as a result. So it'll be interesting to see what they do if Luka and Dennis can step up and show out like we project them to. Then Dallas could actually draw some free agents, which is nice. That doesn't happen very much, if ever. West to the Warriors confirmed. I like it. How can I carry on living with this crippling Maverick sadness, says William Payne. Well, they play tomorrow night, so, let's just see what they do. Here's the thing. I don't measure success this year based on wins and losses. I really don't. All I want to see is that they are improving as the season goes on. Luka and Dennis specifically are growing and becoming more consistent, and that's really it. Like, you just want to see that things are coming together and taking shape, that it presents a bright future. I don't care. If they win like 27 games or something, would that be disappointing? Yeah, on some level, but at the same time, it gives them a better chance of keeping that top 5 pick. So we'll see what happens. Dallas prospect, I think some people are disappointed because some of the hyped up team. Yeah, I never understood why people were hyping the team to the extent of saying it's a playoff team, it's a playoff team. Some people were saying as high as the 7 seed, and I think even Charles Barkley echoed in on that. I don't agree. I don't. Like, if everything breaks right, I think they could be in contention for the 8 seed in the final month, but that's a tough spot to be, because then you're just fighting for your life just to get swept in the first round by Golden State, or I think Houston took a big step back. I've been saying that as well, but you just gotta see. You gotta weigh it out and see what you think. But I'm very interested to see how this team ends up. The better question, my boys, is who had the worst first night, Mavs or Rockets? Rockets, because Mavs, even though people are putting expectations on them, they are not assumed to be a better team like the Rockets are people claiming to be. When Carmelo Anthony hit like 3 shots when he first came in the game and everyone's like, Melo's back, Melo's back. It's proof that OKC was the problem. I'm sitting here like, guys, calm down. It's Carmelo. He'll fall apart. And he did. So, and they got blown out too. So we'll see. I think Houston took a step back. So I would say Houston had the worst night. Wes Matthews still a good trade asset. Keep him on the roster. Yeah, he's a trade asset. Hang on to him, but don't keep him through the deadline just because you think like, oh, I like what he brings to the team. No, move him. Depends on how things go in the West. That's a conversational thing. Let's see. Sign Clay. I don't think Clay's leaving Golden State. I think Draymond Green will be the one to blow that up by insisting on him getting a mega max deal too, and they'll jettison him before they jettison Klay Thompson. Pelicans dropped 130 on the Rockets. Yep. Negativity is annoying. It absolutely is. Absolutely. China trip killed Phillies and Mavs shooting in their first regular season game. Hope it's not a trend. Well, if it is, how long can it really linger with them in that regard? I think they'll snap out of it. It might take a few games, but they'll snap out of it, and we'll see what they do. West, Dorian Finney-Smith for Tobias Harris and Boban. Man, I'd be reluctant to give up Finney-Smith, but that would be definitely interesting. Perfect trade for the Mavs. Would be a steal. Wouldn't happen. Also, two Barnes and one offense. Yes, that would be why we nixed the deal. Hey, man, we had Tyson Chandler on our roster at one point, being two guys. Or no, we had Chandler Parsons. That's what it was. Yeah, because we had Tyson Chandler and Chandler Parsons. Sign Chris Middleton 2019. Yeah, no, I'm all for that. But anyway, well, I've been going like over 45 minutes here. This was kind of an impromptu stream. I'm going to try and give you guys more regular streams on this, probably 2 more. They're not always going to be 45 minutes like this, but it's going to be just kind of quick updates throughout the week, whether it's talking about a game that's just passed or previewing or talking about a bigger storyline, kind of like this is the theme of this stream being patience in this case. But I'm going to try and do more of these. Again, guys, we're really trying to blow this channel up. We're trying to do as much as we can with it. Please, please, please smash the like button, share the video, subscribe, ring the bell, join the notification squad, all of that. There are a lot of ways that we can help grow this thing, but those are the easiest and simplest, and they are greatly, greatly appreciated. So let's help grow the nation, like Law Nation says, and we'll have a good season. We'll talk plenty of Mavericks, and we'll make this thing happen, man. But anyway, that's going to do it for my time here. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Salute.
Alright, welcome back, guys. This is Darreck of the Dallas Prospect, and the Oklahoma City Thunder have their first game in the books now. It was a home opener against the visiting New York Knicks.
Guys, this is Darreck Kirby, aka DDP of the DallasProspect.com, your home for all things Dallas sports and pop culture. Welcome back to the Dallas Prospect YouTube channel. Today we're going to be changing things up a little bit. Take a look at our pop culture content. I've seen you guys 4 or 5 times now, and I mean, not saying this just because you're literally right here. I've always thought you guys were just as good, if not even better, than the headliner for the shows.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
Darreck was totally nerding out about this interview, by the way.
Thank you.
He was really excited about this interview.
Thank you, Darreck.
All right, now that my credibility is shot. If you're a fan of Dallas sports and pop culture, this is your place to be. Already decided you don't like me? No sweat. I'm one of like 15 contributors here.
He's pretty good at making adjustments season to season, but in a game, sometimes even week to week.
9 ridiculous Marvel and DC comic storylines we'd love to forget about.
Personally, I'd like to forget that Wolverine and Squirrel Girl, I have no need for Garrett. I don't want Garrett. I am sick of Jason Garrett. That said, I still think the problem was over here a little bit as well. I'm not saying it was the right way. I'm saying it was a way, and it was the way that they chose.
All right, here it is. Hush.
Children.
Oh, God, they did it.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm so good. I'm so good.
Welcome back to Cheap Pop, where I try to analyze and break down the biggest questions across film and television. Today's topic, Annihilation, starring Natalie Portman.
Let me tell you something, brother. This is the 4th straight year of Cavs versus Warriors, brother. And oh, brother, are we sick and tired of seeing it.
I mean, really, there's no telling how different this team would have looked in recent years had Cuban simply drafted. And it was Cuban's decision, don't get it twisted. Donnie Nelson loved Giannis. It was Mark Cuban's decision to pass on the Greek Freak. This is a more puzzling one because at least Eric Dampier saw 6 out of those 7 years on that contract with Dallas. And it was the trade chip Dallas actually got from moving on from Dampier that allowed them to go get Tyson Chandler. Facts. Dennis Smith Jr. highlight dunk. Alright, let's see what the hype's about.
Even if he had Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, Thanos wears it on the left hand. Infinity Gauntlet, brother. It wouldn't change the outcome. And in case you're a Warriors fan, well, let me tell you something, brother. Let me tell you something, brother. Snakes can't wear gauntlets, brother.
WWE Creative has no real direction for Finn Balor, and it's driving me crazy. What are they doing? I don't know, but I wish somebody, anybody could come in here and fix the booking of Finn Balor. Who are you? Who are you? What's going on?
What's up? I'm DDP from the Dallas Prospect. I heard you needed a fantasy booker.
What are your thoughts for how the offense can kind of right the ship against the Lions this week, since it's been struggling the past few weeks?
Well, you know, first of all, the players got to be accountable to themselves and get out there and play some hard-nosed football. And quit worrying about what play is called, what play is not called.
This next matchup will be the first time, brother, but not really. The last time, brother, but please God, yes. The only time, brother, that we get 2 NBA teams matching up in the finals. 1, 2, 3, 4 times in a row, brother. Because, frankly, brother, it's getting a little bit nauseating at this point.
You want the tagline?
Oh, it's not. Yeah. Every legend begins.
Oh my God, you're fired. You're just fired from the
I'm freaking tired, okay? I'm freaking tired. I slept on the ground, man. I slept on the freaking ground. I don't care what you say. I slept for like 30 minutes. I had no sleep. What? No. You don't tell me what I experienced. I slept on the freaking ground. Okay?
Every legend was once a prospect.
Yeah. And they're getting pressure on the QB too, and usually that translates to interceptions or tipped passes or just passes thrown under duress. But I really can't see, I don't know if it's like a, phenomenon or what, but